Hi, it's Deborah Ariel Pietsch. Wake Up Shift is happening. And this is a show and a video about the tools that you may want to be aware of as you're going through your transformation. And this is just the beginning of some very basic information to help support you in understanding and to also give you some awareness about some of the things that you can think about and to be proactive in these changes and this roller coaster that we call this transformation. And so if you haven't already seen the other shows that I did in regards to the, let's see, there was the foundational information regarding the transformation of 2012, the conscious evolution that we are going through. And then there's also symptoms, and there's actual physical symptoms as well as mental, spiritual, etc. symptoms that people are experiencing as we are transitioning from the third dimensional density that we've been residing in and experiencing into the fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional frequencies and dimension shifts. So check those out. But in the meantime, here are some tools and some ways for you to think about and to be with what you may be experiencing right now. One of the things I always say to people is that this is a time, if you have not learned how to surrender, this is the time to actually learn how to surrender. And I will be honest with you, the first time somebody said that to me several years ago, I knew he had something there. And I was like, what does that look like to surrender? What does that mean? Well, it's kind of difficult to explain, but once you actually start experiencing it, then it's easier to, obviously, it's easier once you start experiencing it. But, okay, let me try to give an example. It's like, if there is, because okay, let me preface this with something else first. We're going through so much upheaval on the planet right now, and more is about to be revealed. This is the end of January 2012. More and more is about to be revealed. And so the most important thing for people to understand is that we are going through a transformational journey and that we are experiencing changes. And that there is an old paradigm of systems that is no longer able to exist in the frequency and the vibration that it was built upon, which is mostly fear and greed and control, and a very few percentage of people on the planet having the kind of wealth and even the basic financial abundance that really is our birthright. Okay, there's way beyond that though. I mean, this has to do with us opening up to our multidimensional selves and all of that being revealed. But in order to surrender, it's basically it looks like first of all, having the intention to just surrender. Just say, even to yourself or the universe, okay, I don't really know what's going on here, but I'm just going to surrender and allow. Because here's what I have on my list that I wanted to share with you, is to surrender, to be in the flow, don't be attached to anything, and then law of allowing. And they all really move and work together. And so you want to be able to surrender to what is being revealed for you individually, as well as what is being revealed globally on the macrocosm. You want to be able to be in the flow of what might have been a choice for you 4 months ago is no longer a choice for you in this moment. And it can be as simple as you committed to go to an event with friends, but being in the flow of where you are, let's say you committed to that 2 weeks ago. Being in the flow of where you are, that actually might not really even be where you want to be and what you want to do. And so therefore, you need to be able to, and still be honoring your word and being in integrity, you need to be able to honor yourself as well, to be in the flow of what you're resonating with, what is right for you in that moment, and to be able to speak it clearly if you want to change your plans. So that's just like one simple example. But even being in the flow and being able to surrender to what's being revealed for you individually, to come up and be healed, to be cleared, etc. And even your life, like let's say your job, let's say that things need to shift, and you're really, let's say you've most recently been let go from a job or something. Part of the process of the transformation is to surrender and to look at, okay, well, maybe that wasn't in my highest good to actually be in that position anymore. Maybe that was something that wasn't bringing me joy. Maybe because another door needs to open, I'm going to surrender to this situation so that I can open the energy for what is meant to come in. That's actually a good way to say it. You surrender instead of trying to hold on and control things. You actually surrender to be open to allow the new to come in. And that's where law of allowing comes in. Law of allowing is a very powerful one of the universal laws. When we allow things to occur, that is when the universe can actually fill in where there's space. And if we're not allowing, we're not creating the space for things to come in that are probably knocking at the door trying to come in. Now, I know in regards to the job, I just want to go back to that for a second. There's been a lot of challenges with jobs and money, and here in the United States, it's been, and everywhere I know, it's been a very contracted energy. That is about to shift. So try not to use that as an excuse to not surrender. And not allow new things, because actually I think there's going to be very many new things that are going to be available to us. Also, in law of allowing, that's not within a law of allowing. I'm just looking at my notes. Sorry about that. Okay, get triggered. If you find yourself getting triggered, this is another tool. And when I say trigger, I mean if you react to something, that's a trigger. It's important to have some awareness in regards to what your triggers are, that you are actually the one doing the reacting. And in that reaction, for you to be able to define, is that trigger something that is an unhealed wound within me, or is this something that needs attention in a different way? One of the things and a tool to be aware of is that we invite people into our lives that often are because of a vibrational resonance, because we have similar wounds and there's a mirroring that's going on. And so if you aren't aware of that yet, then that's something to be aware of. That there's a mirroring going on, and then that person probably has the same type of issues and wounds. And until you really get clear about how to use the tools and how to be your own guru and to self-process through things, you could actually be in a continuous reaction to each other. And then that's just going to create more distortion in the relationship. So understand your triggers. That is a really important tool for this time of transformation. Now, here are some of the solutions. Learn how to self-process. I teach that in the course, Being Your Own Guru, which I also teach and open the doorway for people to become clairvoyant. But it's important to be your own guru and to be able to self-process through things rather than reaching out to other people all the time, because we're really moving into a time where we need to know thyself so much. I'll be honest with you, I didn't resonate with the Bible, and there were only bits and pieces that I've read of it. I think that there's going to be some more truth revealed regarding the Bible. I'm extremely spiritual, as you may know. Pray every day. And at the same time, what just came in was the know thyself, love thyself. And that's really important through this transformation, is to know thyself. And so, okay, so thriving through shifting times, that is the course that I teach. That is the foundational piece for learning how to clear your field, how to ground, how to recognize your shadows, how to recognize your triggers, and things like that. Also, clearing your field, that's actually really important, is to learn how to clear the energy from your field that is not serving you. Because let me tell you, I don't care what anybody says in regards to, well, I only focus on the light. The more light that you are, the more dark you're going to attract. And it will wreak havoc with your life if you're not proactive in creating some protection and clearings of your field. And that's not a projection. I'm not saying it will happen. I will tell you from experience and experience of all the people that I've worked with that now have an awareness of it, that clearing your field is one of those basic things to become aware of as you're turning up your light and as you're turning on your light body. Another thing that I teach and talk to people about is becoming the conscious observer of your experience. And what that means is having the ability to basically pull yourself out of your situation, not taking things personally, but being able to observe who you are being in that moment enough to have an awareness so that you can, and I'm going to go back to it, be your own guru. So you can go like, oh, wow, you know what? I just said that 2 minutes ago, and that kind of sounded like maybe that was my ego, and that's not what I meant. I didn't mean for it to be ego, so I'm going to rephrase that and come from my heart. And so there you are, you're self-processing, you're being your own guru, and you are being an objective observer of your experience, because you're not judging yourself. We're not here to judge ourselves or each other. We're here to love ourselves and each other. And so in order to acknowledge what you're doing, just make sure you're doing it from a loving place. Okay, so that's what I have for the moment in regards to tools. There's way more, but this should give you some basic understanding and awareness. And if you can just from this information start to put some of this into play in your life, then awesome. And you know, like I said, I'm here as a way shower. I'm stepping out. I've stepped out, and I have done and gone through so many initiations over the last 25 years, and I know why. It was for me to be prepared for this time. And I am really humbled and grateful to be able to be in service in this way. So wherever you are on your journey, remember to love yourself and honor yourself and each other. And we are in this together. And I hope that you are finding peace and joy. Thanks. Hi, it's Deborah Ariel Pietsch. Wake Up, Shift is Happening. And this is a show and a video about the tools that you may want to be aware of as you're going through your transformation. And this is just the beginning of some very basic information to help support you in understanding and to also give you some awareness about some of the things, etc., symptoms that people are experiencing as we are transitioning from the third dimensional density that we've been residing in and experiencing into the fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional frequencies and dimension shifts. So check those out. But in the meantime, here are some tools and some ways for you to think about and to be with what you have maybe experienced. You can think about and to be proactive in these changes and this roller coaster that we call this transformation. And so if you haven't already seen the other shows that I did in regards to the, let's see, there was the foundational information regarding the transformation of 2012, the conscious evolution that we are going through. And then there's also symptoms, and there's actual physical symptoms as well as mental, spiritual. But once you actually start experiencing it, then it's easier to, obviously, it's easier once you start experiencing it. But, okay, let me try to give an example. It's like, if there is, because let me preface this with something else first. We're going through so much upheaval on the planet right now, and more is about to be revealed. This is the end of January 2012. More and more is about to be revealed. And seeing right now. One of the things I always say to people is that this is a time, if you have not learned how to surrender, this is the time to actually learn how to surrender. And I will be honest with you, the first time somebody said that to me several years ago, I knew he had something there. And I was like, what does that look like to surrender? What does that mean? Well, it's kind of difficult to explain